I have this poster in my house, and it's a Chinese proverb, and it says, if there's light in the soul, there will be beauty in the person. If there's beauty in the person, there will be harmony in the house. If there's harmony in the house, there will be order in the nation. And if there's order in the nation, there will be peace in the world. That's just my basic ideology. And so, of course, my perception of how things could work, like Joshua said, it does begin from within. And if I can get that to happen and I can focus on those things even within my house, I'm sure in some collective way, like through collective conscious or something, we will have greater effect. There's a lot of potential where we can take this, and I think we just haven't fully tapped into how powerful this can be.
Ultimately, what do you think Joe Stack's actions have done that were productive, that were regressive? What's the fruition of his actions?
Whenever someone like Joe does what he did, it takes away some of the validity of his beliefs. I've read, the arguments on both sides of whether he's a hero or a terrorist, and quite honestly, he has been put into the nut job pile, and his beliefs are the rantings of some raving lunatic who is obviously deranged. So instead of actually getting his word out there in a way that it might have actually been received better, it's tainted. And so although there's a lot of enlightening conversation going on where people are discussing this and talking about, what he had right, what he had wrong, still, whenever these issues come into play in the future for people trying to make changes that fall in line with the changes that he saw needing to be changed, then it's going to have a tendency to be grouped back into that, that's just more deranged talking.
For those of us who are focused on finding the truth in ourselves and in our world, and would like to think that we are creatures that are reaching towards enlightenment, growing towards enlightenment, when you're presented with someone that goes on a killing spree, be that one or two people or thousands or hundreds of thousands as we've done in the Middle East, genocide, murder, these are all, I think, obviously bad things. But when they do happen, like George W. Bush becoming president, and it seemed that every single thing that the administration did seemed to be, it was just inconceivable if you were trying to focus on how to live a truthful life. Such contradiction. And what it did for a lot of us, though, I think, is help to crystallize what we think good actually is, because it was pretty clear there was an example of what it was not. And with Joe Stack doing what he did, I do think that it has the potential to crystallize the vision of what it is that those of us who feel the way that he did, what the proper course is to take if you feel that way. And because it's clearly not the way he did it, if we do agree with him, what is the right way to fight this? What's the right way to make revolution happen? And hopefully we can find that, starting with ourselves and not doing it in any kind of violent manner.
I think part of that is you have to change the vocabulary that we use to discuss it, removing words like fight it, because that implies, again, an us versus them and a conflict-oriented subject-object view of the world.
I have a lot of mixed feelings about it. I really know nothing about any of this. Really, I don't. I've been sort of cornered. It wasn't quite like a hippie thing, and I only got like a few months of it, But the thing is, I was in this world of like really sensitive and warm, fuzzy, loving area when I got confronted, accosted by forces, people, attitudes, emotions, authority figures that were very much like a knife cutting through skin. For the last 8 years, I pretty much got molested by this force that says if you're gentle, you're weak, you just get run over by this. I had a purpose for not being aggressive and all that because there's so much in your mind that you cannot experience when you're under this aggressive state. It was more than just not wanting to navigate through troubled waters. It was actually a purpose for experiencing something different in life. So out of this hot seat of feeling like I was cornered and molested for 8 years under this different sort of aggression and everything, when I see something like this, I feel this sense of salvation, but I mean, surely that's not my only emotion, and I have a ton of different things, and I'm sure that I'm wrong on many different levels, but yet, really, I guess if I had one emotion that dominated all the other ones, I feel there's a lot of people that die just hard workers and never really get to experience what they thought that they would or that they were working towards, and lives end that way. I mean, there's no promotion for getting in a plane or not or whatever, but I just mean like it's sad that people work all their lives for something and many of them get nothing. Somebody made a stand for us and saved a lot of us, and I don't know exactly how or how to even talk about it, but somebody just gave their life. I know it sounds like I'm promoting it, but I'm just saying, like, a lot of us won't die now.
Where do you base the idea that someone else won't die because of their stack dying?
If I knew somebody that tortured people and I stabbed them in the eyeball tomorrow, then all of a sudden there's less torture. How is he going to talk about it? If I don't say it and then somebody else says it, or if I write it down and somebody else says the words, then I guess maybe they're wrong or they're wacky. That screwed up situation to be in where you had to reason through that is imposed upon people. That's not something that they came up with, that they floated around and thought, well, this will be nice to put my mind on.
We were quaint and we were comfortable, but we were never content. I think now that things have gotten to the extent that they've gotten, people are finally strong enough to say, hey man, this was always screwed up. Something needs to happen. It's just a very volatile and tense time, and people are just wanting outlets and waiting for something to spark.
1, 2,
3. If God is true and he is in the details, then the devil is in the outcome. And if stories are to be believed, the former created the latter one. We've tried too hard to justify our weak and baseless acts. Yet science brings more questions and hides as many facts. So bow down to the altars of test tubes or religious piety. Neither qualified, for neither could save me. Both have helped and killed us all, mental shackles and new disease. Both have hurt and saved us all with self-serving dichotomies. To prove we're right, we'll take the wrong and force them to their knees and make them sing all our songs and harmonize the melodies. I just might believe in both of them, while neither seem to believe in me. Religion and science are fanatic dialects, spoken with similar decrees. Believe in all the details, yet the outcome justifies. We'll pave the road we travel with the bones of doing right. So God's details have a place in me, and I guess the devil's outcome too. I'd like to think it's otherwise, but I'm afraid it's true. So make your peace with your duality, and live by your creeds. Prove your faith by showing love, or pave the filthy streets.
Robert Paul Wolff writes, authority is the right to command, or correlatively, the right to be obeyed. It must be distinguished from power, which is the ability to compel compliance, either through the use of threat or force. When I turn over my wallet to a thief who is holding me at gunpoint, I do so because the fate with which he threatens me is worse than the loss of money, which I am made to suffer. I grant that he has power over me, but I would hardly suppose that he has authority. That is, that he has the right to demand my money, and that I have an obligation to give it to him. When the government presents me with a bill for taxes, on the other hand, I pay it. And parenthetically he says normally. Even though I do not wish to, and even if I think I can get away with not paying. It is, after all, the duly constituted government, and hence has the right to tax me. It has authority over me. Sometimes, of course, I cheat the government, but even so, I acknowledge its authority. For who would speak of cheating a thief? To claim authority is to claim the right to be obeyed. To have authority is then what? It may mean to have that right, or it may mean to have one's claim acknowledged and accepted by those at whom it is directed.